Chapter 1292. There were only two possibilities for a sneak attack in the middle of the night. Either she really wanted Dushless and wanted to give herself to him, or something big happened. Am I the kind of troublesome woman who only comes to you to solve her problems? I'm so sad, Dushless. We are engaged. What's wrong with me coming to understand you in advance? Riaz made an aggrieved expression. Her excellent acting skills were unparalleled. Her eyes were filled with tears. That's so exaggerated. You're about to cry with just one sentence. The best actor or whatever is nothing compared to you. Dustless did not know whether to laugh or cry. He thought to himself that women were all made of water. How can my lovely Riaz be the kind of woman who only comes to you for trouble? That's just a rumor. In my heart, you're like the blood flowing in my body. Even if I have invincible strength, leaving you will only lead to death. Dustless smiled flatteringly. His flattery was very treacherous. Women were meant to be coaxed and tricked. Tell me, why is your mouth so sweet? It's like you've eaten honey. Did you do something dirty behind my back again? Riaz asked with a straight face and a very serious tone. On the surface, Riaz's arms around Dustless's neck were even stronger. She had already covered Dustless's entire face with her huge breasts. Of course not. Dustless denied it immediately. He felt a headache coming on to Riaz's intuition that seemed to have seen everything with her own eyes. That's not right. Why do I smell another woman in this room? Riaz looked at Dustless suspiciously. Her gaze became even deeper, as if she could see through a person's heart. Dustless's face was unnatural. He changed the topic and asked, "What's the matter in the middle of the night? Don't tell me you're really here to communicate with me and experience the feelings before marriage. If that's the case." Hee. You know what I mean, Riaz. Dustless smiled ambiguously as he purposely raised a certain important part of his body, gently teasing Riaz's delicate legs. His face, however, had a mischievous smile. Riaz's face flushed red as she glared at Dustless. She no longer kept him in suspense and said, "My mother and father want to see you, their future son-in-law. They are very curious about your deeds. My brother Sazax is also very interested." Riaz revealed her intentions and looked at Dustless expectantly. So it's to meet the parents. Dustless was enlightened. He glanced at Riaz and nodded in agreement. He also yearned for the legendary underworld, especially Riaz's family. Moreover, it was inevitable for a son-in-law to meet his future mother-in-law. Ever since I forcefully took Gulifia away, we haven't met again, and she seems to be avoiding me. Sometimes, I would send someone else to inform Liz of something. In his mind, the beautiful girl in maid attire appeared again, and Dustless's eyes began to drift. I'm right in front of you, and you're still thinking about other women. Damn it. Riaz snorted in dissatisfaction as her hand reached for Dustless's waist, and then did a 360-degree turn. Ouch, that hurts. Dustless yelped in pain as he looked into Riaz's clear eyes, and said angrily in his mind, I can't say that I was thinking about having sex with your sister-in-law, Gulifia. Riaz, help me massage my back. Perhaps it was because Tianai and Shima had been fighting for too long, but Dustless felt a chill all over his body. Looking at Riaz, who was barely covered, he also lost interest. You really know how to enjoy yourself, Riaz shook her head. Despite her words, she very considerately followed Dustless's instructions. Time flew, and after a few hours, the sky in the distance was already turning bright. The warm light chased away the bone-chilling darkness, and everything was in a state of prosperity. Dustless, it's time for your morning exercise. The girl's crisp voice sounded like she was enjoying herself, and there was even the sound of footsteps going up the stairs. Oh no, it seems to be Aisha. Riaz immediately opened her beautiful eyes, and there was a flash of panic. She was still sleeping with Dushless in each other's arms. If Aisha saw this, it would be terrible. Hurry up and tell Aisha to stop outside and not come in. Riaz pushed the sleeping Dustless hard, hoping that Dustless would say something to stop Aisha. Let her be. Dustless turned his body, and with his back facing Riaz, a sly smile appeared on his face. Thinking of Aisha's weird personality, he couldn't wait for her to come in and catch them in the act. You. Riaz pointed her finger at Dustless, and looked at Dustless's unyielding face. She couldn't help but get angry, and a dark red magic wave appeared all over her body. Just as she was about to use the magic circle to leave, it was already too late. Bang! Aisha broke through the door, and Riaz, who was about to leave naked, came into view. Aisha, the minister and Dustless are really cunning, hiding it from Aisha. I want to join you guys. The weather had been a little hot recently, and Aisha didn't wear much, so she took off her jacket, revealing her naked body. Then, under Riaz's shocked gaze, Aisha jumped up and pounced at Dustless. Aisha, don't be so impulsive, what if you hurt yourself? Dustless saw this and quickly stood up. He was very excited, and his face was full of concern, afraid that Aisha would fall, but in his heart, he was thinking, damn, good jump. Chapter 1293. Of course, Riaz knew what Dustless was thinking. She naively thought that Dustless was afraid that Aisha would fall asleep. But seeing Aisha like this, she knew that this kid was doing it on purpose. Humph. Riaz let out a cold snort and swung her snow-white jade-like leg in a kick. Thud. Dustless's mind was focused on Aisha, and Riaz was also neglected by her for a moment. Caught off guard, Riaz sent her flying with a kick. Thud. Dustless's body finally landed on the wall, and Aisha was caught by Riaz. I was sent flying by someone's kick. Looking at Riaz in shock, Dustless couldn't seem to explain this result. He froze on the spot and didn't move. Looking back, he had already traversed 3 worlds, Naruto, Shinigami, One Piece. Along the way, Dustless had destroyed countless strong people with various methods. He didn't expect to stumble when it came to Riaz, even though it was his own carelessness that caused this disaster. Humph, you think you can just kick me? There's no such thing as that. Rubbing his sore left waist, he could still see Riaz's footprints. I'm about to go to the underworld. You kicked me, so I'll be merciful and let you go this time. This grudge will be transferred to your sister-in-law. Let her slowly atone for your sins. Dustless put on his clothes, and his evil smile disappeared. Inside the Supernatural Research Department of Chariot King Academy, the members who were usually away from each other more often than not also came. Dustless also gave Riaz's face, so he sat on the sofa in a daze out of boredom. He held a thick book in his hand and looked at it. Sometimes he would nod secretly, and sometimes he would show a thoughtful expression. He was very focused and serious, reading with great interest. Right now, only he and Zhu Nai were in the department. Everyone else had gone out to do their own things. Strange, this guy always sleeps in class. What kind of book is it that fascinates him so much? Out of curiosity, Zhu Nai tiptoed and walked behind Wu Qin. His footsteps were silent. Allah Allah Allah. Classmate Dustless, what book are you reading so diligently? Can you lend me The History of the Workmouth Maniac? Zhu Nai looked at the exquisite pictures in the book in astonishment. All the pictures were not suitable for children. That guy Hyoto Issei forgot to take it. I was just about to burn it, but you actually came looking for me. Here you are. A hint of awkwardness flashed through Dustless's eyes as he hurriedly shifted the blame to Big Brother Ching. After all, he was a world-renowned pervert. However, this book wasn't written by Dustless. He wasn't like Big Brother Ching, who only knew how to fantasize. Speaking of which, when are we going to the underworld? Seeing that Junei was about to dig deeper, Dustless quickly changed the topic. I can't wait anymore. I want to pay a visit to Riaz's parents and brother. We will leave in a while. Riaz has something to do with President Song. She will leave when she arrives. Junai nodded slightly and looked at Dustless strangely. For some reason, she felt that Dustless was implying something when he mentioned Riaz's family. Oh right, how's Yicheng's training going? Dustless tried his best to change the topic while hiding the history of the workmouth maniac. Him. Hearing this, Junai's eyes flashed with disapproval. She sighed and said, he's number one in the school when it comes to women, but training is really hard for him. Dustless smiled but didn't say anything. The one who was training with Hyoto Issei every day was Kibayudo. It was no wonder that Hyoto Issei wasn't interested. He was already jealous of Kibayudo's strong and handsome aura. Now that he was forced to undergo forced training, he was very depressed. Junai, we, bzzz. Bzzz. Before Dustless could finish his words, blood-red mana fluctuations spread out. Then, a silver-haired woman with an elegant temperament and a refined demeanor, wearing a maid uniform, emerged from the magic array. Gilifia. Dustless and Junai asked at the same time. Compared to Junai, who had expected this, Dustless was much more surprised. She knew that she would run into me if she went to find Riaz, but she still came to me. She's provoking me in a different way. Last time, Dustless forced Gilifia to go with him, and the two of them stepped into the clouds together. During that time, he tortured Gilifia so much that whenever she mentioned Dustless, she would feel nauseous. Now, she actually dared to show up in public. Dustless didn't expect her to do so. My lovely. Oh, no, my esteemed sister-in-law. The harsh words almost made Gilifia choke and fall down. Even if she covered it up perfectly, Dustless could still see the anger and embarrassment in her eyes. That was a slip of the tongue. I mistook you for Riaz. Gilifia clenched her teeth and cursed Dustless for being shameless. How could he make a slip of the tongue? And how could he mistake a living person? It was obvious that he did it on purpose. Don't worry about it. Just pay more attention in the future. Gilifia said calmly, as if she was seeing Dustless for the first time. I haven't seen you in a while, and your temper has gotten worse. Staring at Gilifia, who was like a saintess that he could only look up to but not touch, Dustless's eyes suddenly changed. His black pupils were swallowed by red light, and the three tomo in his eyes turned slowly. He then glared at Gilifia. The world in Gilifia's eyes suddenly changed. The scene she didn't want to recall the most invaded her mind. The scene of her being F***ked by Dustless replayed in front of her eyes like a movie. Chapter 1294. Gilifia subconsciously looked at Junai. Seeing that her expression was normal, she breathed a sigh of relief. Presumably, she was the only one who could see Dustless tormenting her. It must be this guy's doing, definitely. Gilifia's teeth creaked, but she didn't dare to act up. Not to mention that she wasn't as strong as Dustless, she couldn't bring herself to talk about such an unbearable scene. Miss Gilifia, are you here to pick us up? Junai very warmly moved to Gilifia's side. It wasn't hard to see that the two had a good relationship. Well, a trace of bitterness flashed through Gilifia's eyes. In truth, she didn't want to come, but who would have thought that her cheating husband, Zazax, would insist that she come to pick up Dustless and the others. He was pushing his wife to someone else's bed. Yes. Go tell Riaz's family to get ready. Gilifia answered elegantly, her every move exuding an air of nobility. Phew, seeing this, Dustless's eyes glowed. The possessiveness in his eyes was almost tangible. Dustless had seen countless beautiful women. His harem was full of beauties. But someone like Gulifia, whose every move was elegant and graceful, was rare. Her unique elegance was like a powerful aphrodisiac, bewitching Dustless's nerves. "I'll go find them now." Junai nodded lightly, then turned into a gust of wind and left. Only Gulifia and Dustless were left in the paranormal research department. "Don't force my hand." Gulifia was the first to attack. Her murderous intent exploded, and her majestic mana pressed down on Dustless like a mountain. "Don't use your child-beating skills on me." "Boring." Dustless leisurely walked to the sofa and sat down. Gulifia's pressure had no effect on him at all, not even the most basic of intimidation. "With your strength, you're still far from being able to defeat me. The difference in strength between a high-level creature and a low-dimensional creature isn't something that can be made up for by hard work alone. I can see that your magic power has increased sharply recently. You must have gone through a lot of hard training." Dustless immediately noticed Gulifia's strange behavior and gave her an appreciative look. "Gulifia, you've worked hard, but some things are destined. Just like the sun rising from the east, some things can't be violated. That's all you'll get if you follow Sazak's all your life." "What are you trying to say?" She had to admit that Dustless was right. The gap between them wasn't something that could be overcome with hard work alone. Ah. You still don't understand. I've already said so much." Dustless sighed and walked up to Gulifia. He lifted her chin with his thumb and said frankly, "It's simple. Be my woman, and I can give you power comparable to a god." Gulifia felt as if she'd been electrocuted. Recalling how Dustless had ruthlessly ravaged her, she opened her mouth to refuse, but her throat seemed to be choked by an invisible hand. She couldn't speak at all and could only stare blankly at Dustless. "Silence means you're agreeing." With a gentle smile, Dustless casually pulled Gulifia into his arms. "No, I'm not agreeing. You're cheating." Coming back to her senses, Gulifia struggled with all her might. Powerful magic waves broke out of her body as she tried to push Dustless away with her own strength. But she was destined to be disappointed. Dustless's body was like glue that stuck to Gulifia's body. She couldn't push him away no matter what she did. "Just what kind of monster is this guy?" Gulifia was exasperated. She was already a mother, but she was still being hugged by Dustless. She was so embarrassed that she wanted nothing more than to find a hole to hide in. "Don't try to guess where I came from. Knowing my actual strength will only make you feel more despair. Remember, Gulifia, the truth is always painful, and reality is always cruel. Ignorance is bliss, and the more you know, the more boring your life will be." Dustless's long speech left Gulifia in a daze. She agreed with Dustless that ignorance is bliss. Sometimes, the more you know, the better. "I didn't expect you to." "Bastard, let go." Gulifia, who'd just been looking at Dustless in a new light, felt the small hands roaming around her body. Her face turned red, and her last good impression of him vanished in an instant. "You want me to let go? What kind of joke is this?" "Riaz kicked me in the morning. As her sister-in-law, it shouldn't be too much for you to repay her for kicking me, right? You two have a deep relationship, so it's fine to be considerate of each other." Dustless's expression showed that it was only right. Not only did he have no intention of stopping, he even increased the strength in his hands. That's the logic of a robber. Gulifia almost vomited blood. "It's clearly between you and Riaz, so why are you taking revenge on me?" Dustless smiled at Gulifia's complaints. Just as he was about to have a deeper conversation with her, a group of uninvited guests arrived. "TSK, you ruined my plans. I'll find you in the underworld. You can't run away anyway." Seeing that Riaz, Junai, and the other members of the Supernatural Research Department had all arrived, Dustless gave up on the idea of conquering Gulifia. She could run away, but she couldn't run away. He was about to visit Gulifia's home, and there would be more opportunities then. Everyone, are you ready? We're going to the underworld now. After tidying up her messy clothes, Gulifia returned to her cold and untouchable self. Chapter 1295. The underworld was a gathering place for demons. It was vast and boundless, and countless families had taken root here. Among them were the demon kings, who were extremely powerful. Is this the minister's home? Hyuga Issei stared blankly at the majestic building before him. The castle under the sun looked especially sacred and majestic, and this was only the location of the villa. If there were other places like the garden. All in all, Hyuga Issei's knowledge of the place had been refreshed. The underworld. It's just a so-so, nothing special about it. Dustless appeared to be very calm as he glanced at the majestic castle. He was not a country bumpkin like Hyuga Issei. Back when he was a celestial dragon, the castle he lived in was similar to this. Riaz, is there some kind of important occasion today? Why is it so grand? The villa was decorated with luxurious cereal ornaments. There were also a large number of servants who were busy decorating the garden. It seemed that they were very busy. I'm not too sure about that. Riaz expressed that she did not know. She subconsciously looked at Gulifia, and she was sure that Gulifia knew the reason. Gulifia's neck turned. Although she sensed Riaz's questioning gaze, she kept her mouth shut. You're still keeping me in suspense. This is a serious crime, Gulifia. Dustless shrugged. When he laughed, his whole body moved, making him look very wretched. Gulifia, who happened to see this, felt a chill run down her spine. She instinctively moved away from Dustless and approached Riaz. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Go in and rest. Gulifia raised her right arm elegantly and showed her signature professional smile. Perhaps she only felt safe when she was with Riaz. Ah! So these are Riaz's family. All of them look extraordinary. A gust of spring breeze blew, and a gentle voice with a hint of surprise came from the villa. Looking straight into the dark villa, a tall and slender woman walked in with graceful steps. This person had a beauty that could captivate even birds and beasts. Her appearance was outstanding and refined, elegant and noble. She wore a long white dress and her steps were graceful and calm. She was already used to being stared at by a large group of people. Her sacred aura made people feel ashamed of themselves. Facing the gazes of the crowd, she responded with a smile, giving people the feeling that she was very easygoing. Of course, there was one exception. The young man beside Riaz is. A ripple flashed through the flawless eyes of the beautiful woman. She looked at Dustless with interest and couldn't help but secretly nod her head. His expression was resolute, and his character seemed calm and confident. Although he looked young, he revealed an indescribable maturity, which gave her a very strange feeling. The Dustless in front of her seemed to be older than her. Not only was the stunning woman curiously sizing up Dustless, but Dustless was also sizing up this woman with great interest. This is Lias's mother, Venerana Gimenri. She doesn't look like it. She looks more like Lias's sister. Dustless slandered in his heart as his eyes shone brightly. Dustless, just as Dustless was daydreaming, Riaz's dissatisfied voice came. It's rude of you to look at my mother with such vulgar eyes. Riaz's words were like a deep water bomb. Everyone was stunned and looked at Dustless in shock. Ahem, Dustless's mouth twitched violently as he glared at Riaz. 100,000 alpacas army flew through his mind. Auntie? Really? You're so young. Dustless smiled shyly and praised, I'm so sorry just now. I actually mistook you for Riaz's sister. Venerana's skin was as smooth as silk. Even light could be reflected off her skin. She didn't look like Riaz's mother at all. Ah. I've seen your picture before. I think you're called Dushless, Riaz's fiancé. Your mouth is like honey. You really know how to talk. Vainilana's smiling face was like a blooming flower, beautiful beyond compare. You want to compete with me? You're still 100 years too young. Wuchen glanced at Riaz proudly before his gaze landed on her mother's head again. Even though what he said just now was flattery, Vainilana really didn't look like someone who had given birth before. Go in and rest. Dinner is ready. Gulifia went into work mode with a serious expression. Grumble. Wuchen's stomach grumbled twice. He was really hungry. He raised his head and looked into the depths of the villa. Wuchen vaguely saw a dazzling array of dishes. You can call me sister from now on. I like it a lot. Realizing that his wrist was being held by a warm hand, Dustless jerked his head up. The charming Vainilana came into view. Her eyes were squinted into a line. It wasn't hard to see that she liked Dustless very much. Ahem, this isn't appropriate. Auntie. He coughed awkwardly. He was just saying it casually. Besides, Dustless's actual age was much older than Vainilana. I also think it's inappropriate, mother. Riaz put her hands on her hips and glared. Her nose wrinkled in dissatisfaction. Allah, my lovely daughter is actually jealous. Seeing this, Vainilana's eyes were filled with mockery. She found it more and more interesting. Like an elf, she grabbed Dustless's right hand tightly and deliberately put his hands near her big breasts and shook them around. Just a little bit more and he would be buried inside. You! Riaz saw this and stomped her feet in anger. In the end, she could only sigh helplessly. It sounded very powerless. The dissatisfaction on her flushed face faded. She looked at Dustless with pity. Although it's a bit embarrassing, Mother's personality is always so unpredictable. Just sacrifice yourself and call her sister. Chapter 1296. Hearing that, Dustless's face twitched violently. This was worse than killing him. Sis. Sis. Sis, Dustless tried to say it, but he couldn't say it even after a long time. It was really hard to say. He was also someone who had lived for a few hundred years. He was qualified to be Vainilana's ancestor. Oh. Forget it. My cute son-in-law will tease you next time. Go in and wait. My husband and Sazax have been waiting for a long time. Looking at Dustless who was in pain, Vainilana couldn't help but chuckle. This family must be mentally ill. Dustless stared at Riaz who had entered the mansion and shook his head with a bitter smile. He then stepped in as well. Inside the mansion, the decorations were luxurious. The spacious room was filled with a group of servants. They were all women. Although they were not as eye-catching as Riaz and Vainilana, they were all beauties. Gulp. The corner of Hyoto Issei's mouth was like the overflowing yellow river. His saliva flowed for 3,000 feet. His eyes were filled with the dazzling, Wulong, tribe. How should I call you? You have to call me sis. Should I call you little brother then? It feels like a good match. The name Dustless is too unfamiliar. Vainilana walked to Dustless elegantly. She lowered her chin and looked at Dustless thoughtfully, as if she was looking for a suitable name. It's normal to feel unfamiliar when meeting for the first time. Dustless complained in his heart. He was speechless about Riaz's mother. Why don't you call me? I'll call you Chinkuan from now on. Vainilana didn't give Dustless a chance to speak. She swore, this name is much better. It suits my future son-in-law very well. Hearing that, Wuchen raised his eyebrows slightly. When he was about to refuse, he thought of Vainilana's unpredictable temperament and decided to leave it at that. It was hard to guess the thoughts of this weird hot mom. Speaking of which, Chinkuan, what do you think about the situation in the demon realm now? Venelana suddenly changed the topic and asked with a serious expression. Demon world. Dustless couldn't help but stare blankly. It was said that women's thinking was leapfrogged, and now it seemed to be true. Just a moment ago, she was still acting like a flirting little girl. Now, she was suddenly talking about the situation of the fiend realm. Dustless really didn't know how to react for a while. This has nothing to do with me. I have no interest in intervening in the battle between demons, fallen angels, and angels, Dustless replied calmly with a stern expression. Your thinking is somewhat naive. Venelana blinked, and her soft voice made people involuntarily believe her. When a matter escalates into a serious problem that the whole world has to face, do you think you can still stay out of it? Dustless raised his eyebrows and fell silent. What Venelana said was indeed a problem that could not be ignored. It was fine if you did not provoke others and lived a quiet life, but could you be sure that others would not provoke you? Needless to say, this was impossible. I'm no different from joining the struggle of this world. I have no interest in the struggle between the various factions, and I have no interest in knowing more about it. Dustless reiterated his principle again. If people don't provoke me, I won't provoke them. If people provoke me, I'll pay them back 100 times. But if some people have ideas about me and my friends, then I can only be forced to raise my butcher's knife again and clean up this world. Looking straight ahead, his indifferent eyes were full of contempt for everything. His magnanimous tone showed no fear. He knew that there were countless gods in this world, and countless powerhouses, but this was not a reason for Dustless to be afraid. Moreover, it was not like he had never defeated a god before. You're so young, but your heart is already so black. Venelana pretended to be afraid, but there was a satisfied smile at the corner of her eyes. Dustless was very much to her liking. He was strong, but he was low-key and happy to be ordinary. He had his own principles for everything, and he would never back down. She sincerely felt that Riaz had found a good husband. Compared to Rizel of the Phoenix family, Dustless was like a god descending from the heavens. At the same time, for some reason, Venelana felt a little jealous. Dustless was young, and his future was limitless. Especially now that he had the strength to laugh at the heavens, his future potential was immeasurable. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, the strong were favored by everyone. During dinner, the luxurious dining table was filled with a dazzling array of food, and the aroma in the air was enough to whet one's appetite. Riaz, Dustless, and her family were all present. On the main seat sat a red-haired middle-aged man and Venelana. Other than that, there was a young man beside them who attracted the attention of Nokar. He had the same red hair as Riaz, and his handsome face was very gentle. The faint smile on his face gave off a very approachable feeling. He was one of the 4 demon lords, and Riaz's brother, Sazax Gimli. Obviously aware of Dustless's observation, Sazax looked up and smiled politely, very serene and sunny. F***ck, don't be like that. I'm the one who made you a cuckold. You're smiling so kindly, I have a feeling that you'll give Gilifia to me. Dustless complained in his mind. At the same time, he sneaked a glance at Gilifia. The latter also had a conflicted look on her face, full of uncertainty about the future. Everyone lowered their heads and ate in silence. The atmosphere was a little awkward and depressing. Just when everyone thought that they were going to brush it off, Riaz's father opened his mouth, and what he said almost made Dustless's head explode. Not just Dustless, everyone looked at Riaz's father in shock. Chapter 1297. When do you plan to marry my daughter? Also, that young lady from the Phoenix family, I think her name is Labelle, your personal maid. The Phoenix family has agreed to marry her to you. I hope that you two can get married soon. These words were like a storm that could destroy the world. Everyone, including Wu Chen, was thunderstruck until they were charred on the inside and tender on the outside. Bastard, my goddess is gone just like that. God damn it. Issei Hyuta wanted to cry, but no tears came out. His glass heart was shattered. Not only did he snatch away Rias, who everyone admired, but now he did not even let Labelle go. I strongly object. Rias reflexively stood up as if she was following her instincts. When she came to her senses, Rias's face was filled with shock and disbelief. What's wrong? Rias's father asked. Anyway, I can't accept him marrying two women at once. I have to be the first. Rias, who was at a loss for words, casually found an excuse. In fact, when she stood up, she did not know why, but she felt very uncomfortable. What do you think, Chen-kun? Rias's mother, Venerana, looked at Dustless with her serene eyes. She held her cheeks with her hands, looking forward to Dustless's answer. Hearing this, Dustless, who could not find an excuse, was speechless. It did not matter whether Labelle married him or not, because Labelle was Dustless' personal maid now. No one could take her away. Marriage was just giving her a status. From a certain perspective, this was more like an olive branch from the Phoenix family. Rissel Phoenix had personally experienced Dustless's strength. Knowing that Labelle could not come back, she might as well marry Dustless directly. At the same time, she could also make Dustless owe her a favor. Any time is fine. Dustless naturally would not reject a beauty throwing herself at him. He secretly gave Rias's father a thumbs up. Since it's decided, let's put this matter aside for now. I have something to ask you. The main character, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. The moment he opened his mouth, he attracted everyone's attention. They all looked at him with fear. This person was Rias's brother, Sarzax Gimli. What happened between you and Seraph? Why is it that whenever she mentions you, she can't wait to tear you into pieces? Sarzax was deeply puzzled. Why would a great demon king be apprehensive of a little brat? He really did not understand. So it's this stupid matter. Dustless came to a realization. After he defeated Seraph that day, only a few people knew the truth. Even Rias's family did not know the inside story. It's just a small personal issue. It's just a trivial matter. There's no need for everyone to pay attention to it. Dustless didn't care at all. He said with a straight face, that woman is crazy. I don't want her sister. She insisted on pushing her into my arms. Poochie. Ria spat out all the juice that had just entered her lungs. She looked at Dustless in disbelief. She never thought that there would be such a shameless person in the world. Rias was right in front of Dustless. Who would have thought that he would say that out loud? This bastard. He was the one who used force to oppress Kangna and Seraph. In the end, he forcefully took Seraph's virginity. How long has it been? Why has the version changed? Rias's head was dizzy. She now had a clearer understanding of how thick-skinned Dustless was. This is normal. Hearing this, Sarzax was calm. He maintained his rationality and calmness. He looked at Dustless and said, the demon realm is a place where benefits are highly valued. A powerhouse can bring countless benefits. If I were Seraph, I would definitely betroth my sister to you. No matter what happens in the end, there's no loss. Rias lowered her head embarrassedly. Her face was red, and she showed a rare shy expression. This world was so cruel. It only cared about the size of one's fist. If you were strong enough or had potential, there would naturally be endless benefits. Just like Rias and Hyoto Issei in the original work. If he did not have a divine artifact in hand, would Rias look at him differently? The answer was obviously no. The dinner continued. The atmosphere was much more pleasant than before. At least there were people talking. After about an hour, the luxurious dinner finally ended. It's so boring to sleep alone in such a big place. I'm starting to doubt Junai's house. Lying on the soft and delicate sponge, Dustless, who had nothing to do, looked out of the window in a daze. The long night must not pass like this. His eyes suddenly spun. Just as he was about to use his eye power to release a Monoshima out to play, an uninvited guest suddenly came to disturb him. Creak. A faint light shone in through the gap of the door. The door was not completely pushed open. There was only a small gap, and a purple eye could be seen sweeping around like a thief. Finally, the eye stopped on the bed, and a victorious smile appeared on her face. Quietly observing the tall shadow reflected on the ground, Dustless frowned and asked himself without thinking, could it be Gulifia coming to take revenge on me? Dustless only offended Gulifia at the moment. As for Seraphil, she probably treated Dustless as a maleficent existence. You don't learn your lesson at all. Since I'm bored, I'll tease you. Realizing that Gulifia might come looking for trouble, Dustless's dull expression disappeared in a flash, and a faint look of anticipation appeared on his face. Creak. The weak gap was completely pushed open, revealing a graceful figure. The sudden visitor was wearing white lace pajamas. Her aura and taste were worlds apart from Gulifia's. Gulifia has silver hair. Dustless was confused. Looking over, he was stunned when he saw who it was. Riaz's mother, Venerana. Chapter 1298. For some reason, Venerana was wearing pajamas, but in Dustless's eyes, it was clear as if it was transparent. Every part of Venerana's body was clearly exposed to his eyes. What are you doing here in the middle of the night? Dustless raised his eyebrows as he thought about Venerana's intentions. Without a doubt, Riaz's mother was very impatient and very smart. Dustless's domineering attitude made it impossible for her to be hypnotized. There must be some kind of secret. Ahem, sensing the strange atmosphere, Dustless had to speak up. You're not asleep. Venerana was stunned and a little surprised. I was going to pee, but I didn't expect to run into you. May I know why you're here in the middle of the night? Dustless gave a lame excuse. Venerana wanted to say something but stopped. Sneaking into her future son-in-law's place in the middle of the night, no matter what the reason, especially when Venerana was wearing simple pajamas. If someone saw her, the consequences would be unimaginable. Clenching her teeth, Venerana said with determination, I hope you can make me stronger, I'm willing to give up everything. Everything. Hearing this, Dustless's eyes flashed with realization. He finally understood why she was wearing simple pajamas, and this kind of transparent one. Venerana sacrificed her body to feed the hungry wolf. Tell me your intentions first. Glancing at Venerana, Dustless was not as anxious as expected. His tone was as calm as water, without any fluctuations. Although he did not mind giving Venerana powerful strength, he had to at least understand the process. It's very simple, I hate the current family. Venerana showed an annoyed and even hateful expression, her fists were clenched tightly. Are you talking about the Gimli family? I see that you're living quite comfortably now. Dustless said with a hidden meaning. Venerana's eldest son, Sazax, was one of the demon kings, her daughter, Riaz, was also a proud child, and she also had a grandson. He really could not see why Venerana was dissatisfied. That's a bit far-fetched. Hearing this, Venerana smiled sadly, and said with a bitter tone, in the Great War several hundred years ago, the demon realm suffered an unprecedented blow, the battle between the three factions caused large-scale destruction. Countless pure-blooded demons fell in that war, and pure-blooded superior demons were even rarer. At that time, as one of the members of the Bar family, I was forced to marry into the Gimli family to ensure their bloodline. I see. Hearing this, Dustless revealed a look of understanding and guessed, "What do you want to borrow my power for? Destroy the current house of Gimli?" "That's not it." Venelana shook her head decisively and sat beside Dustless. She looked at him affectionately and said, "I just want to obtain the power to control my own destiny. Although my son, Sazax, is one of the demon kings, I believe that there are people in this world who are stronger than him. In the words of you humans, this is called preparing for a rainy day. For this, I can give up everything." Venelana took the initiative to get close to Dustless's face. After blowing a mouthful of hot air, she looked at the lower part of Dustless's body. "Didn't you just say that you want to pee?" Venelana suddenly changed the topic. Her smile was a bit strange. Yes. Dustless answered with a bit of sadness. It would have been better if she didn't ask, but when Venelana said that, he really did have the urge to pee, and it was a bit uncomfortable holding it in. "Then you can start now," Venelana suddenly said. "Are you kidding me? This is the bedroom, how can I just pee in a place like this?" Dustless said with a dark face. He always felt that this mentally retarded woman was playing with him. Staring at her rosy little face, Dustless was stunned by her next action. "I'm talking about here," Venelana said with a smile after blowing out a mouthful of hot air. Her white fingers pointed at her mouth, the meaning was self-evident. "In my mouth." Hearing this, Dustless's eyes instantly turned red, looking at Venelana who turned into a fairy. His breathing became heavy, the chakra and ryatsu in his body began to go berserk. He was about to explode. "In order to get my power, is it worth sacrificing so much?" At the critical moment, Dustless calmed down. Looking at Venelana's dark red lips, he felt that he was about to melt. "No, demons don't have any concept of chastity, maybe this kind of thing is something they are used to." Shaking his head, thinking about the female demons he met, Dustless's inner barrier also disappeared. Female demons didn't care about worldly concepts like humans. The demon world was like Europe in the Middle Ages. As long as you were strong enough, you could sit on countless partners, and you could choose any beauty you want. It was the same for females, no matter if they were male or female, there were countless secret lovers behind them. Of course, whether this red apricot could be hooked out of the wall, it depended on the individual's factors, and Dustless was undoubtedly able to do this. "I'm already like this, are you not willing?" Venelana's tone was filled with resentment, like a little wife who was bullied. Her tone was coquettish. Dustless's body was half melted. "Do I look like the kind of person who would take advantage of a burning house?" Dustless was speechless. He always felt that he was taking advantage of someone when they were in trouble. "This is normal, every powerful man has countless women behind them. My husband was like this when he was young." Venelana replied calmly, absolute power could change everything. Also, Rias's mother, Venelana, simply lay in Dustless's arms, holding onto his neck and asked, "Don't you want to experience the feeling of having a mother and daughter all by yourself?" Bang bang bang. Dustless's heart was beating rapidly. An unprecedented big problem was placed in front of him. Be a beast. Or be worse than a beast. It was really hard to choose. This was a big problem. Chapter 1299. Dustless's heart was in a dilemma. This question seemed to be extremely difficult to choose. It would be difficult to deal with someone like a marine admiral or a village kage. Allah Allah Allah. Every man has this kind of dream, you should have it too. Venelana giggled. Her body was fragrant and her skin was white and beautiful. She looked like a vixen. Ahem, I'm a man with principles. Dustless took the initiative to start a conversation with Venelana. He shook his head like a rattledrum. He did have this kind of thought before, but recently Rias treated him well and cared for him. If Rias knew about this in the future, Dustless was really afraid that she would be sad. Could it be that you are? Venelana's eyes were filled with suspicion. After examining Dustless for a few seconds, she said strangely, "It shouldn't be, or are you?" Speaking of this, Venelana showed a shocked expression. She pointed at Dustless in shock and said, "Or, are you gay? Or you can't do that. If that's the case, I can't marry Rias to you." "I'm not gay, my sexual orientation is normal." Dustless's old face was twitching. He looked at Venelana angrily and said with a smile, "Since you doubt me, then experience it for yourself." After saying that, Dustless violently grabbed Venelana's neck. With a little force, she couldn't help but cough. Her little face was red. What are you doing?" Venelana asked in a shocked tone. She didn't wear much. It was just a nightgown, and it was transparent white. The high frequency of shaking made Dustless feast his eyes. I need to pee, so I'll use your mouth as a toilet. You said before that you would be my toilet for free. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so I can't let it go. I'll fulfill your tiny wish, no need to thank me." With a sneer, Wu Chen's arm, which was as thin as a willow branch, exploded with an explosive force. He pressed Rias's mother, Venirana, tightly onto the ground, forcing her head to maintain the same height as his lower body. This guy is indeed not an ordinary person. It was right to rely on him. Feeling the power contained in Dustless's single hand, Venelana was secretly shocked. Her heart was like a huge wave rolling up into the sky. Everything she said before was to trick Dustless and test his strength. If he couldn't do it, she naturally wouldn't lose herself to Dustless. There are no fluctuations of magic power. Is it just pure strength? Feeling the hand grabbing her head, Venelana confirmed it again and panted like a cow. Why was Suzuki so outstanding? To a certain extent, he had inherited Venelana's bloodline, or the destructive magic of the Ball family that she belonged to. However, Venelana had exhausted all the magic in her body, but she could not resist Dustless's brutal rule. The most shocking thing was that Venirana did not feel the slightest bit of magic power, not even a drop. In other words, Dustless had subdued her with brute force. Is he really human? Venelana said in disbelief. This kind of absolute power definitely did not belong to a human. At the same time, Dustless was not a demon, a fallen angel, or an angel. Could it be that he is some god or some unknown demon king? Maybe he is a dragon that can turn into a human with a jump. Only the legendary dragons have such great strength without using magic power. Venelana secretly guessed. Although this idea was a little strange, at least she felt that everything was possible. At the same time, she felt her mouth being pried open. Dustless glanced indifferently at Rias's mother, Venelana, and said leisurely, "Thank you for your hospitality." Time passed quickly. After spending most of the night with Venelana, Dustless was so tired that he fell asleep. Venelana, who was whipped full of holes by Dustless, did not leave. She decided to spend the night beside Dustless. It was not that she did not want to leave, but Dustless made her too weak. Plus, her pajamas were torn into countless pieces. She could not go out naked. The morning sun was mighty, and the warm light shone on people's faces. The young man subconsciously rubbed his eyes. It's already past 10 o'clock. Seriously. Dustless stretched his waist lazily, and there was a crisp sound of bones cracking. Will Lise kill me if she finds out? He turned his head and looked at Venelana's sleeping face. Her expression was calm and peaceful. There was still a blush on both sides of her face that had not yet faded. Her two arms were tightly hugging Dustless's arm, afraid that she would slip away. Sigh. With a heavy sigh, Dustless leaned back on the bed. Thinking about how things had turned out to be like this, although Dustless felt guilty towards Rias, he did not know why he did not regret it at all. Instead, he felt very excited. How can I make her stronger? Hogyoku doesn't seem to work. For a weak creature like a demon, the Hogyoku will explode. Since he had taken Rias's mother Venelana, Dustless had to be responsible. At least, he had to make her stronger. I can let her eat the devil fruit. Dustless's eyes flashed, and he thought that this plan was feasible. He used to collect a lot of devil fruits in the One Piece world, and there were still a lot of them in the system that had not been eaten. He could also give them to Rias and the others. What's the matter? Wuchen frowned as he felt the warm air coming from behind him. Suddenly, the quilt moved. He turned his head and saw Rias's mother, Venurana, looking at him with a smile. What should I call you now? Chinkuen. Cute son-in-law. Or... Venelana pursed her lips and smiled without saying anything. Dustless also smelled the scent of conspiracy. Chapter 1300. When Venelana chose to show herself, Dustless knew that other than her strength, she had some kind of secret that could not be told. Dustless did not think that his charm would be enough to make Venelana fall head over heels for him. Knock knock knock. There was a hurried knock on the door, and a familiar voice sounded. Are you still not awake? The sun is almost up. Is this Rias? Dustless and Venelana looked at each other and saw the panic in each other's eyes. Although he really wanted to test this mother and daughter pair, it was not the right time yet. You hide first. Venelana hurriedly put on her clothes. This was also because Rias had found out that she was having an affair with her future husband. Venelana shuddered at the thought of it. She looked around and searched for her clothes at the fastest speed in her life. However, Venelana sadly discovered that her pajamas had long been torn into pieces by Dustless's beastly nature. Hide me. Is there something wrong with your head? This is my bedroom, and the one hiding is also you. Dustless said with a dark face. Just as he was about to let Venelana hide under the bed, he heard a creak. Rias had already pushed the door open, and there was a small gap. I'm coming in, Dustless. Pushing the door open completely, Rias smiled and walked in elegantly. There seems to be a special smell. Rias frowned and looked suspiciously at Dustless, who was embarrassed. After sniffing the air twice, Rias's eyes became serious, and she said with certainty, It seems to be the smell of a woman, and it's very familiar, it's mother. Pfft. Dustless's face darkened, and he said sternly, Don't talk nonsense. Do I look like that kind of person? I'm just joking. Even if you are, mother isn't. Rias's face broke into a smile as she pursed her lips. After saying that, Rias glanced under Wu Chen's bed and scanned the surroundings from the corner of her eyes. She felt relieved when she sensed the dead silence around her. T, she's the one who came to meet me. Dustless complained in his mind, but he asked casually, Is it time to go back? Class is the day after tomorrow. Rias sat beside Dustless. I was hoping that someone would train Ichij and increase his strength. Who knew? Sigh. Dustless did not say anything, but he laughed in his mind. How could Ichij have any motivation? His harem was all taken care of by him, and now he was gloriously upgraded to a commander without an army. After breakfast, Dustless and some people from the Paranormal Research Department went to the territory of the Gimli family. The group chatted and laughed, and they hurried back in the evening. Lady Rias, dinner is ready. Inside the brightly lit luxurious villa, Galifia's signature working tone could be heard. Lady Venelana and Junai frowned when she noticed that Rias's parents and brother were absent from the dinner. Sizax and the others are very busy. Please forgive us for not being able to entertain you during the dinner. Galifia bowed and apologized. Her every move was professionally trained, and her expression was meticulous. Phew, Brother Ching let out a sigh of relief and sat down. He looked at the dazzling array of dishes and wiped his hands, drooling. He was starving after a day of wandering. That's boring. Hearing that, Dustless crossed his legs. He had thought of many new positions to test with Venelana, but the female lead was missing, and looking at Gulifia's serious expression, it was doubtful that she would even come back at night. Please enjoy, I still have something to do, goodbye. Seeing that Dustless and the rest were all seated, Gulifia bowed again elegantly and left the dining room. Rias, my stomach is not feeling well. I ate too much during the day, so I'm going to take a rest, Dustless said tiredly with a pained expression. Too much. Rias smiled and waved her hand helplessly. Got it. Go get some rest. Sleep early and wake up early. We have to go back to Horse King Academy tomorrow. Senpai, you ate too much. A doubtful voice came, and the naturally naive kitten's expression changed to one of disbelief. Junai and Aisha also looked at Dustless in shock. As for Issei, he was wolfing down his food and ignoring Dustless. Brother Ching hated this person who ruined his harem dreams. It was no wonder that they were suspicious. Dustless only ate a small amount of food when they went out to play today. These guys are too troublesome. Dustless could only admit defeat. I'm not used to this place, and my stomach has been hurting for the whole day. I also ate something with a strong oily taste, and now I feel nauseous. You guys don't want me to pee everywhere, right? Leave now. Everyone said with disdain. Thud thud thud, messy footsteps came from the corridor. Gulifia, in her maid outfit, was no longer as sacred and inviolable as before. She turned into a stream of light and pounced forward with a serious expression. Miss Gulifia, you seem to be in a hurry. Where do you want to go? I'll take you there. Just as she was about to rush out of the mansion, a flash of light blocked the corridor. Dustless. Gulifia's beautiful eyes were dazed, and she subconsciously pulled her legs back. Am I that scary? Dustless started to think about his image. He suddenly realized that the most powerful queen of the underworld and the demon queen Seraphil, who was the Leviathan, had the same expression when they saw him. It was as if they had seen the legendary dragon. No, they were even more terrified than seeing the legendary dragon. Chapter 1301. Wu Chen was depressed in his heart. He had bitter water but couldn't pour it out. When did I become such a scum that people ran away from? Gulifia gritted her teeth, cursing her bad luck. She was even more conflicted than Dustless. You don't have to hide from me. I'm not as scary as you think. Dustless rubbed his nose awkwardly, showing a rare gentleness. Gulifia looked up and saw through Dustless's heart. Perhaps she sensed his deeper meaning, or perhaps it was because the situation was urgent. She said in a heavy tone, many of Gemengli's territories have been attacked by mysterious people. Sazax and the others are rushing to help. Attacking Gemengli's territories? Which god or demon king is leading the attack? Their courage is astonishing. Dustless was surprised, but at the same time, he was also curious about the identity of the mysterious people. Although Sazax was known as the Demon King, his true strength was beyond that. Dustless really wanted to meet someone who dared to sneak up on a tiger and kick its butt. I'm not sure. There are many of them. It seems to be a special organization. Gulifia smiled bitterly and sighed. Her eyes dimmed a little, indicating that she was not sure either. Could it be the Calamity Group? Wu Chen's eyes lit up. He couldn't help but think of this special organization, which gathered all kinds of powerful terrorists, such as White Dragon Emperor Wally, and many people of the old Devil King faction, including Cao Cao of the Hero faction in the future, all belonged to this organization. In short, the Calamity Group gathered people from all walks of life. There were all kinds of people in the organization. It was very chaotic. At the same time, it was undeniable that this organization was very powerful. Boom! 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 A deafening roar was heard. The magic power was unfathomable. Wherever the vibrating ripples spread, the living beings wailed. TSK, TSK. Although I don't know much about magic power, someone who can produce such destructive waves should be quite powerful. I haven't exercised for a long time. Now that they've come to me, I'm really grateful. Although he had been enjoying the fragrance of women recently, pursuing battle was Dustless's greatest pleasure and hobby. Let's go and have a look. Dustless smiled and disappeared in a flash. His body turned into a golden streamer and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Gulifia was startled. She thought that her old eyes were blurred and she didn't see Wuchen suddenly disappear. With the speed of light, any creature that wanted to spy on them would feel pressured. Black Song, even if Sazax has been lured out, there are still many powerful beings in his family. His queen, Gulifia, is no pushover. The armored middle-aged man said with a frown. He was quite dissatisfied with the black-haired cat-eared woman in front of him. Beautiful monkey, isn't challenging the strong your hobby? Are you afraid now? The woman called Hegu turned her head and sneered. You're afraid of a woman. To think that you're the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha. If you're so scared, then hurry up and go home to carry on your ancestral line. Don't wander around outside. I'm just being conservative. Don't forget our mission. Try to cause as much damage as possible. I heard from Wally that the three major forces are showing signs of forming an alliance. Our current mission is to stir up as much unrest as possible in the demon realm, not to pursue meaningless duels. Although I'm passionate about battle, we still have to make clear our priorities. Beautiful monkey didn't think much of it. He knew that this was Heiji's provocation. Her goal was to have him attract the firepower of the Gimli family, and then Hegu herself would go and save her sister, the Shangbayin. Is this a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain? It sounds like a perfect plan. Unfortunately, the heavens are not on my side. I heard your plan. A ghostly voice emerged from the bottom of their hearts without warning. They immediately retreated on reflex. Who is it? Get out here. Beautiful monkey looked around and gripped the Jingu Bang tightly in his hand. He stared coldly at the abandoned dark corner on the left. Thud, thud, thud. A handsome young man walked out of the darkness. Are the two of you all right? Dustless smiled and waved his hand. Are they all right? For some reason, beautiful monkey felt humiliated when he heard this sentence. He was frightened by this ghostly voice just now. It was like a ghost suddenly appeared behind you and greeted you. Who could be all right? Who are you? Deshang Hegu lowered her chin and asked curiously. Who knows? The name is not important. Dustless shook his head. He thought of the past and gave an ambiguous answer. In the past, I brought hope to some people and was worshipped like a god. At the same time, I destroyed their world and was feared like a ghost by others. The number of names and titles given to me by the people of the world is as numerous as the carps in the river. Dustless's eyes were blank. His tone was filled with vicissitudes. His turbid eyes were used to seeing the vicissitudes of life. He had once cared about the dominance of the world. He had once obtained it and even destroyed it. He had experienced several hundred years of ups and downs. Now that he was all alone and roaming the universe alone, he realized that this was the happiest and most enjoyable life. Frowning, Dustless recovered from the river of memories. Suddenly, his shoulder felt sore. He opened his eyes and saw that the clothes on his left shoulder had already been torn apart. His right arm was exposed to the air. What's going on? I was fine just now. Dustless muttered to himself. He was lost in his memories and didn't notice the changes in his surroundings. The beautiful monkey's mouth was wide open, so wide that a large rock could be stuffed in. Black Song, who had been standing beside him for a long time, also had her beautiful eyes wide open. You idiot. At this time, a burst of angry curses came. Dustless turned around and saw that it was Gulifia. That man who looks like a monkey, didn't you get hit by his stick? Gulifia's mouth twitched. This guy was hit by a stick and didn't even know what happened. Shit, who hit me with a stick? Wuchen reacted and scolded loudly. Just now, he only felt that his shoulder was sore. Who would have thought that someone would sneak an attack on him? Chapter 1302. Dustless was infuriated by Gulifia's stare. He was so angry that he subconsciously sank into his memories. Who would have thought that someone would dare to ambush him? Even if you did, you should have used more force so that I wouldn't notice. Monkey, did you go easy on me? Black Song of Taching approached the pale-faced monkey and asked. Although I didn't use my full strength, the force just now was enough to shatter a mountain. Monkey took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. He looked at Dustless in shock and guessed, is this guy's body made of meteorites and diamonds? Quietly sizing up Dustless's white and flawless skin, Monkey nodded in agreement. It was as white as diamonds and even glowed. Let's retreat for now. That silver-haired woman is not to be trifled with. Taking a deep look at Gulifia, the beautiful monkey then glanced at Dustless, who had a faint smile on his face as if he was sizing up a mouse. Although he was unhappy, he still chose to retreat. The mission was the most important thing, and personal grudges should be put aside first. Let's retreat. Black Song of Taching glanced at the castle in the distance, his bright eyes dimming. You want to leave after beating me up? With a flash of light, Dustless appeared behind Monkey. However, this guy seemed to have eyes on the back of his head. Without even looking, he swung his staff at Monkey. Bam! Dustless's body was instantly scattered into a large number of photons. That's all there is to it. As long as I take it seriously, what are you so proud of? The photons that were wandering around recovered and recondensed into Dustless's body. His face was full of anger. Just now, it was almost the same as the soreness in my shoulder. It was indeed you who sneaked an attack on me. Pfft. Gulifia giggled, cursing Dustless for not being serious. At the same time, she was shocked by his strength. He's neither a fallen angel nor a demon nor an angel. His body doesn't seem to have any magic waves, so he should be a human. But what's with his body structure? How can a human become so strong? You're courting death. The beautiful monkey flew into a rage. His body erupted with astonishing strength as he leapt up. Gulifia, I'll leave that cat-eared girl to you. Don't hurt her. Gulifia was stunned. Dustless's voice suddenly rang in her mind. So many strange abilities. Gulifia sighed with a complicated look in her eyes. She didn't know whether to rejoice or regret her relationship with Dustless. Boom boom boom. Gulifia's mana went berserk and chose to do as Dustless wished. Brat, you have angered me. You must pay the price for your arrogance. The beautiful monkey floated in the air. He stood on a cloud and stared down at Dustless with an arrogant look in his eyes. It had to be said that as the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha, the beautiful monkey did have the right to be proud. The only sad and pitiful thing was that the person he was courting death against this time was also a fiendish person. Bzzz bzzz bzzz. The golden-hooped cudgel in the monkey's hand rapidly enlarged, from the original cudgel to an exaggerated heaven-supporting divine pillar. It was thousands of times larger than before. He swung it around, and wherever the enlarged golden-hooped cudgel swept past, ripples would appear in the void. It was as if as long as the monkey waved it gently, the mountain would collapse. How sad, glancing at the beautiful monkey, Dustless's interest waned. He wasn't on the same level as the monkey at all. He had no interest in fighting. Tao Breakers 90, Black Coffin. Deep in the clouds, countless black lights poured down. The curved black lights were like the bright moon, sparkling and translucent. The beautiful monkey didn't feel anything. He looked down at Dustless arrogantly and continued to enlarge the Jingu Bang in his hand. He was so angry that he wanted to smash Dustless into meat paste to vent his anger. Up there, silly child. Pointing at the pure black wind blade in the sky, Dustless didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy had probably never experienced failure before. That was why he was so arrogant. Up there. The beautiful monkey subconsciously looked at the sky. The black light filled with the afterglow of death frightened him. He quickly controlled the enlarged Jingu Bang to smash the top of his head. Bang, bang, bang. Although he shattered many blade attacks at the first moment and avoided the shadow of death, the beautiful monkey's Jingu Bang was also in a miserable state. There were a lot of messy blade marks on it. His body was also bleeding profusely, and there were several ghastly cracks on his body. The enlarged version of the golden cudgel had indeed saved his life, but it was inevitable that some fish would slip through the net. The beautiful monkey himself had also suffered a heavy blow. How could it be? How could it be? How could it be? This guy almost killed me without even moving his hand. The beautiful monkey's eyes were dull. If it wasn't for the stinging pain from his wounds that made him want to die, he might have thought that it was an illusion that some bastard used on him. Bang! After suffering such a heavy blow, the somersault cloud under his feet was difficult to control. The beautiful monkey was sweating profusely. He finally fell down without any strength. Your body is very strong. Otherwise, you would have been cut into monkey meat. Dustless laughed in a teasing tone. Who are you? Which god's descendant are you? The infinite dragon god Orpheus or the real red dragon god Emperor? The beautiful monkey asked in a rare gossipy manner. Although his thoughts were strange, he felt that it was very possible after witnessing Dustless's unprecedented strength. As the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha, he was killed in one hit and was on the verge of death. If it wasn't for his thick skin, he would have been kicked out of the game and reported to the underworld. I am a human, and I don't belong to any faction. If I have to find a name, it would be Dustless. Stopping his steps, Dustless replied indifferently and walked towards the beautiful monkey again. Chapter 1303. The monkey's head was burning, and cold sweat dripped down like raindrops. He wanted to wave the Jingu staff again, but his injuries forced him to accept a cruel reality. Even if the enemy was on his last breath and could die with a poke, he did not have the strength to execute Dustless's death sentence. This is a joke, right? We haven't even started fighting. How did it end over there? Taching Hage glanced in the direction where Dustless and the monkey were fighting, and complained angrily, Monkey, if you want to slack off, just say so. This was too fake. He was KO'd as soon as he entered the battlefield. Fake. Why don't you try? The beautiful monkey's heart was bleeding. He looked at Dustless, who was just inches away from him, and his heart was filled with despair. He originally thought that Gulifia and Demon King Sazax were Jaimin's trump cards. Who would have thought that this great god of death was still hiding in the dark? You're not a beautiful woman, nor are you someone with outstanding strength. You have no value to me. Dustless glanced at the struggling monkey with pity. He squatted down and looked at the monkey. How about you give me a reason not to kill you? I don't need your pity. You can't kill me if you want to. He did not know where the strength came from. Maybe it was because of the explosion of his little universe, or maybe it was because he was unwilling to die. The monkey stood up again miraculously. Our race is known as the strongest battle race. The monkey raised his head, like a proud warrior. He regained his arrogant aura. Even if he died, he would die standing. Fighting is not good. Why don't we sit down and talk? I have a question for you. Dustless withdrew the energy fluctuations that overflowed from his body, and he returned to his calm and collected appearance. Huff! The endless majesty that shrouded his entire body disappeared. The beautiful monkey hurriedly fought to be the first to take a deep breath. He was afraid that Wu Qin would erupt with that earth-shattering aura again. Facing the serious Wu Qin, sometimes it was difficult for him to even breathe. Is the red dragon god emperor you're talking about the strongest dragon DXD that lives in the dimensional crevice? There's also another one called Great Red? Dustless asked curiously as vague information about Great Red surfaced in his mind. What do you want? Hearing this, the beautiful monkey frowned and stared at Dustless. Noticing his interested expression, an absurd idea popped up in his mind. This guy definitely isn't curious about the real Red Dragon Emperor. He's probably as crazy as Wally. He wants to defeat the invincible DXD. Beautiful monkey exclaimed in his heart, sighing that there was still a lunatic like Wally in the world. However, who would have thought that Dustless's next sentence would make him feel like he was about to explode? I hate walking, so I need a mode of transportation. That dragon called God Emperor True Red Dragon, I think he will be suitable. Dustless stated his purpose seriously. His tone was very calm. It was not difficult to tell that he was speaking from the bottom of his heart. After a few seconds of eerie silence, the beautiful monkey suddenly screamed, This is definitely a lunatic that's even weirder than Wally. His thoughts and worldview were completely destroyed. Even his voice was stuttering. Forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything. Look at you, you don't know anything. Glancing at the petrified beautiful monkey, Dustless realized that he had asked the wrong person. Scram. Don't let me see you. Dustless waved his hand and walked toward the area of Tower City where Gu and Gulifia were fighting. What did you say? Hearing this, the beautiful monkey's face turned purple as he gripped the Jingu Bang tightly. All the muscles on his body bulged. He felt greatly insulted. Since when did someone dare to speak to him like this? Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. The beautiful monkey said, filled with hatred and determination. He didn't hesitate to enlarge the Jingu Bang. When it became as thick as a house, he waved it with all his might. Just as he was planning to smash Dustless to death, a cold voice suddenly exploded in his mind. Do you think you're still alive because of your strength and hard work? What a naive monkey. You're still alive because of my mercy. Otherwise, a half-baked like you would have been killed by me long ago. I've only let you move around for so long because I've been too bored lately. A long string of words echoed in his mind for a long time. The beautiful monkey looked at the disappearing figure in a daze and lowered his head in despair. Is the end of the world coming? No. Suddenly thinking of something, the beautiful monkey shouted in his heart, Orpheus can change her body at will. I heard that she used to be an old man. This guy might be DXD's original body that was too bored and came out to seek death. The beautiful monkey immediately displayed his strange thinking. He suddenly felt that his loss was not shameful. After all, he was the real divine Emperor Crimson Dragon. Ah! You're not done yet. An untimely, ear-piercing voice suddenly rang out. Parting the dense leaves, Dustless looked at Gulifia and Brother Hay who were in a tense standoff. This time, he began to criticize Gulifia. You haven't dealt with her yet. Are you waterproof, Gulifia? Humph. Gulifia snorted and didn't say anything. Where's the beautiful monkey? Sensing that the beautiful monkey's presence had disappeared, Heiji's expression changed. He suddenly had a bad feeling. If you don't save him, he might die in a few minutes. Being attacked by Tao Breaker 90 is no small matter. Dustless sat on the grass calmly, as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. But it seems like you don't have a chance to save everyone. There's a female demon in front of you, and behind you, Who are you calling a female demon, you bastard? Gulifia was so angry that her silver hair stood on end. Chapter 1304. Gulifia was trembling all over. If she could, she wanted to pounce on Dustless and strangle him to death. That bastard's mouth didn't hold back at all, and that half-smile was definitely on purpose. Oh. Sorry, Gulifia, it was a slip of the tongue. I still have things to do, so I'm going back to sleep. I'll leave tomorrow. That exercise just now really felt good. Wu Chen moaned comfortably to the sky. Then, he turned around and left without saying goodbye. Where's the monkey? Heigu asked. Thinking back to the energy ripple that oppressed the sky, she was already prepared to collect the monkey's corpse. Him. Dustless retracted his step and said calmly, he won't die for now, but even the gods won't be able to save him in a while. Then why didn't you take care of him? The monkey is the descendant of the victorious fighting Buddha. If you don't take care of him now, he'll be a huge problem in the future. Gulifia scolded and suddenly changed directions, as if she wanted to finish off the monkey for Dustless. Take care of him. There's no need for that. If he can grow to my level one day, I'll even burn incense and pray to the heavens for mercy. Dustless's words left Gulifia and touching Heigu dumbfounded. You want to nurture an enemy to kill you? Gulifia asked in shock. She cursed the lunatic in her mind and warned seriously, that's nurturing the enemy. As Rias's, sorry, but I'm not Rias's kin. Dustless words made Gulifia speechless. She could only stare. Dustless wasn't Rias's kin, so he didn't have to listen to the Gimli family's orders. In any case, let them go. Dustless took a deep look at Gulifia, then swaggered off. You think I'll let them go just because you said so? What a joke. Like you said, I'm not your kin, so I don't have to listen to your orders. Gulifia retorted sarcastically as her demonic energy surged. These people were related to the future of the fiend realm, and as the wife of the demon king, she could not let them go. Hee, so you don't agree? That's fine too. I'll go tell Sazax right now. I believe he'll definitely, you win. Gulifia rushed to Dustless's side like a gust of wind, glaring at him with her gem-like eyes. If it weren't for the fact that Dustless's strength was unfathomable, and that she knew that she wouldn't be able to shake him even if she went all out, she would have definitely fought without any regard for her life. Her name is Taching Heigu. She is Kitten's older sister. Without further explanation, Dustless said as he walked, she's my teammate's sister, and she's not a bad person. You want me to kill her? Sorry, I really can't do it. Are you sure? Gulifia asked suspiciously. She always felt that Dustless had a tool that could foresee the future, as if he knew everything. I don't think that's the only reason. Glaring at Dustless, Gulifia said meaningfully, they're sisters, and they're both quite pretty. Don't you want them for yourself? Hearing that, Dustless frowned and shook his head. He said decisively, there are as many beautiful women in this world as there are grains of sand in the Ganges. If I like any one of them, I'll have to change my kidney sooner or later. Despite his words, Dustless's heart was itching. He and Kitten had been in the same environment for a long time, and even if they didn't have a so-called emotional foundation, they would develop feelings for each other over time. Moreover, Dustless had always been sympathetic to the sisters, and he was just fooling Gulifia. Otherwise, he would have been called the peerless sex demon or godly worker king who defeated Hyuru Issei. At the same time, in another direction. Monkey, how do you feel? Deshang Heigu looked at the shocking wounds on Monkey's body and couldn't help but feel a chill. Some of the wounds on his abdomen could even see his internal organs, and his intestines were almost falling out. She quickly found a bandage to wrap Monkey's wounds to prevent blood from flowing out. How do you feel? I saw the Grim Reaper. Monkey smiled bitterly. The confidence he had accumulated over the years had completely collapsed. Idiot, if you can hold on for a while, and wait for Wally to come, you can definitely hold on for a while. Don't you think your back hurts when you talk while sitting? Monkey angrily interrupted Shanghai Ge's speech and angrily scolded, if it wasn't for that man's long-winded nonsense, my fight with him would have ended in 5 seconds, no, 1 second. In reality, it ended in about 1 second. During that time, Dustless was talking nonsense and asking Monkey God Emperor Jin Red Dragon's location. Oh. He's very strong. A strange magic formation suddenly flashed in the sky, and then a curious voice came from it. A mysterious figure in silver armor appeared. You're injured quite badly, Monkey. His tone fluctuated and became more serious. Then, the armor on his body disappeared, revealing a handsome silver-haired youth. Wally. Not only am I injured, he's not interested in me at all. Otherwise, I would have been dismembered. Monkey angrily punched the ground, his expression full of unwillingness. Seems like he's very strong. Wally's eyes lit up. He was not interested in anything. His greatest joy was fighting and defeating Jin Red Dragon God Emperor. Then what's his purpose? What's his name? Wally wanted to know more about Dustless and continued to ask, to be able to defeat you so easily, he must be a world-famous figure. I think he's called Dustless. He's a human. His purpose. He said that he wanted to capture Jin Red Dragon God Emperor as a tool. Chapter 1305. Hearing this strange idea, Wally, who rarely had any emotional fluctuations, was stunned. Then, he felt a stinging pain on his old face as he realized that Dustless was deliberately going against him. My life's goal is to defeat the real God Emperor Qilong, the Great Red DXD. Yet, that brat who appeared out of nowhere actually wants to capture the real God Emperor Qilong to be his mount. Doesn't that mean that I'm only worthy of fighting against his mount? Wally's mouth twitched and turned constipated. This was equivalent to slapping him in the face. That guy seems to be Lise Gimenry's fiancé, Ta Ching-Hage added. Lise Gimenry's fiancé. The heavens have been kind to me. I heard that my old enemy, Qilong Divine Emperor Hyodo Issei, is Lise Gimenry's relative. When the time comes, I'll wipe them all out. Wally's eyes were cold. Regardless of the beautiful monkey's injuries or the fact that Dustless had slapped him in the face, he had to get back at them. The next morning, Lise and Dustless left the underworld and were on their way to Cold King Academy. Although the sudden commotion yesterday had brought a lot of trouble to the underworld, it was the kind that was dispensable and had almost no effect. After all, the current demon King Sazax, as well as Seraphil and the others, were not incompetent. Inside the Supernatural Research Department of Cold King Academy. Master, please enjoy. Dustless was sleeping comfortably on the sofa. LaBelle Phoenix was wearing a black maid outfit. Her blonde hair was lying quietly on her waist. She did not move at all. She was very standard. Not bad. Dustless nodded in satisfaction as the tea entered his stomach. His mouth was filled with sweetness, and there was an endless aftertaste. Dustless was a freak in the Supernatural Research Department. Most people drank coffee. Only Dustless liked this kind of tea that was bitter before sweet. It had unknowingly become a habit. You should have received the news. Putting the tea set on the table, Dustless turned to look at LaBelle and said bluntly, the Phoenix family agreed to betroth you to me a few days ago. LaBelle nodded and did not feel too much about it. Even without this sudden engagement, she knew that she would be Dustless's plaything for the rest of her life. LaBelle did not reject the idea too much. Descendants of large families like hers were usually sacrificed in marriages, such as Rias's marriage to her brother. Dustless was more despicable and filthy than some of the other hedonistic sons, but he was impeccable in other aspects. At the very least, it was very safe to be with him, and he had absolute strength to protect her. Hee, it's good that you're aware. Dustless rubbed his palms and looked at LaBelle with sparkling eyes. He reached out his right arm and grabbed her. LaBelle was like a rabbit lying in Dustless's embrace. Her weak strength was negligible to Dustless. You want to do that kind of thing here? LaBelle's little face was red, and her heart was beating rapidly, as if it wanted to jump out. Why can't I? Dustless asked with a smile. He felt that it was very appropriate. Chakra rolled in his palm and vibrated slightly. LaBelle's maid outfit burst open, and her jade-like left arm was exposed. Dustless was stunned by the sight. Looks like I can only accept my fate. LaBelle smiled bitterly and closed her eyes in despair. She was the eldest daughter of a large family after all. After confirming that she had no chance of escaping from Dustless's demonic hands, not only did she not reject Dustless, she even purposely rubbed against Dustless's sensitive areas. She blinked her eyes like a blooming poppy flower. Even though she knew it was highly poisonous, she could not help but want to pluck it. The anti-terror tactic was useless. The smart LaBelle had to reconsider her relationship with Dustless. A powerful person would have countless women behind him. If she wanted to capture his heart, it would depend on LaBelle's skills. Following LaBelle's actions, the romantic atmosphere became more and more heated, and there was a faint sign that it was on fire. Huff, Dustless was panting heavily. Just as he was about to execute LaBelle on the spot, an untimely voice came. I really can't relax at all. Dustless seemed to have been electrocuted, and his movements suddenly became sluggish. Lias, is it really okay for you to be like this? Dustless turned his head to look at Lias, who had her hands on her hips and was looking down at him from above. You are my fiancé. Lias sat opposite Dustless with her legs crossed. Due to her sitting posture, he could still see the black fat too with his excellent vision. Lias, he is also my fiancé. LaBelle said angrily, purposely pulling Dustless's arm into her embrace. LaBelle, get this straight. My engagement with him comes first. There is no order in marriage. The two women fell into an intense argument. Dustless felt a headache coming on, and he decisively chose to retreat. He smiled bitterly in his heart. If the two of them knew that there were many female confidants in the system, they would not be able to have peace in the future. Grumble, grumble, grumble. Dustless's stomach growled as he did not eat breakfast yesterday and today. Let's go have a meal first. Looking at the restaurant not far away, Dustless smelled a delicious aroma from afar, and it hooked the worm in his stomach. Since he had nothing to do, he walked into the restaurant. There are so many people. Dustless, who walked into the restaurant, was shocked to find that it was almost filled with people. There was only one seat left in the far right corner, and he had no choice but to share a table. May I sit here? Dustless bowed and asked the two people wrapped in white robes. Grumble, grumble. Go ahead. One of them said while wolfing down her food. She was obviously a female, and her voice was quite pleasant. The two of them ate the food of several people. They can really eat. I think I've seen them before. Dustless stared at the girl's blue hair, and a figure suddenly appeared in his mind. Genova. Chapter 1306. Dustless carefully observed the girl who was wolfing down the food. She was not reserved at all. In fact, she ate even more crudely than he did. Even so, the girl's delicate features could not be hidden. Instead, because of the way she ate, she gave people a feeling of generosity. Really, I didn't expect to meet you in this kind of place. Dustless felt that God liked to joke around. He did not expect to meet Genova and Wisteria Rena in this kind of place. Looking at the way they ate, he could not help but chuckle. Sir, your hamburger and cola. The waiter showed his signature smile and elegantly placed the food in front of Dustless. "Thank you." Dustless smiled and nodded. His stomach grumbled in protest. Just as he was about to stuff the hamburger into his stomach, he suddenly realized that someone was spying on him. Ahem, ahem. Is there something on my face? Genova and Wisteria Irina stared at him without blinking. Dustless's hair stood on end. You're eating so much. It's shameful to waste food. Looking at the mountain of food in front of Dustless, Wisteria Irina pouted. At the same time, she leaned close to the dazzling array of food and sniffed it. The tip of her tongue could not help but bite her lower lip. I see, they're still not full. Dustless showed an expression of understanding. He pushed the extra food in front of the two and made a light gesture. If you don't mind, let's eat together. Good boy, if someone bullies you, tell me. Wisteria Irina, who was sitting beside Dustless, patted him on the shoulder in a friendly manner. She gave Dustless a thumbs up and said, God will bless you. I hope so. Dustless smiled but did not say anything. He stared at the two who were wolfing down the food. He glanced at the big sword wrapped in bandages beside Genova and asked in a roundabout way, Where are you two going? I'm familiar with this town. Chariot King Academy. Genova said as she ate. Dustless gave her a sunny and easygoing feeling. He didn't seem like a bad person, so she didn't hide anything from him. Dustless sighed inwardly. Then, he volunteered with a smile, to be honest, I am a third-year student at Chariot King Academy. If you don't mind, I can take you there. You? Genova and Rena stopped what they were doing and looked at each other. They could see the confusion in each other's eyes. A few seconds later, they nodded and accepted Dustless's suggestion. All right, I'll leave it to you. Wisteria Elia smiled, and the wariness in her eyes gradually faded. She and Genova were confident in their own strength. If they were afraid of a normal human, then they should not be the holy swordsmen of the church. They should just go home and be porcelain dolls. Moreover, Wu Chen gave them a good impression. He was gentle and refined. At first glance, he gave people the feeling that he was very gentle and approachable. He didn't seem like the kind of person who would have bad intentions. Thank you. If it weren't for you, Genova and I would have been detained. We forgot to bring money when we went out. Rena Ilya stomped her feet. Her face was full of embarrassment. She didn't dare to look into Dustless's eyes. Her whole face was red, and it was very cute. If Dustless didn't pay for them, they might have been detained by the shop owner to wash dishes to atone for their sins. Don't worry about it. It's a piece of cake. Dustless waved his hand. He could have as much money as he wanted. There was a bank near Chariot King Academy. If he didn't have money, he could just go there. Let's go together. I'm going to class anyway. Dustless smiled and shamelessly held the two girls' hands. Wisteria Irina and Genova's body stiffened, and an unnatural expression flashed across their faces. Just as they were about to struggle, a strange electric current suddenly spread through their bodies, and the power gathered in their arms instantly dissipated. They could only watch as Dustless left. You still want to fight with me? I'll pay for you too. If I don't take advantage of you, then God is too unfair. Dustless laughed in his heart. He felt the delicate touch of the two girls' skin. He smiled happily and held one in each hand. It was like he was a living god. Speaking of which, what are you two doing here at Chariot King Academy? Dustless touched the two girls' hands discreetly as he changed the topic to distract them. No comment. Rena Ilya and Genova said with a straight face when they talked about their mission. You two are very principled. Dustless praised them. In fact, even if he didn't say it, he knew about Genova and Rena Ilya's mission. They were looking for Rias and hoping that she wouldn't interfere with the conflict between the church and the fallen angels. Their ultimate goal was to find the missing holy sword. "We're here." Pointing at the school in front, Wu-Chen couldn't help but loosen the two girls' little hands that slipped into the satin. "We'll meet again anyway. What happened just now was good karma." Thinking about it, Wu-Chen also felt relieved. This was what it meant to be fated to meet even if they were thousands of miles apart. "If you two want to find someone, you can go to the student council. Here, it's them." Dustless pointed at Song Na and Vice President Shinro Chuanji, who happened to pass by. Then, he left without caring about the two strange looks. "Rina Ilya, why do I feel like this guy is weird?" Genova asked as she stared at Dustless's disappearing figure. "It's more than weird. Didn't you notice? We've been led by the nose by him. Since when have I been so obedient? Almighty God, please give me an explanation." Wisteria Irina looked up at the blue sky and asked. Soon after, she realized something and said angrily, "To think that we trusted him so much. He secretly touched my hand and even aimed at my chest and legs." Chapter 1307. Wisteria Irina and Genova looked at each other and clenched their teeth in anger. They had thought that he was a well-educated gentleman, but who would have thought that he was a shameless beast in human clothing? "Rina, forget it. You did treat us to a meal." Genova waved his hand, indicating that she did not need to mind. "Don't forget our mission. There's no need to take such a small matter to heart." Genova was afraid that Rina would start a massacre over such a small matter. After all, this was Chariot King Academy, the demon's territory. "Let's go meet the president of the student council." Time flew by, and it was around noon in the supernatural research lab. Dustless was hugging Rias, intending to have an in-depth conversation about the future, when a third will suddenly appeared. "Bad luck. Today is really an unlucky day." Dustless pursed his lips and grumbled unhappily. "They should have all left." Rias frowned slightly. She was also rather frustrated. After witnessing Dustless's power, she had to hold on to this trump card tightly. Sometimes, necessary communication was necessary, and Dustless was not her kin. If he wanted to change jobs, she could not stop him. "Please come in." After tidying up her slightly messy clothes, Rhea sat in her usual seat, while Dustless lay on the sofa with a gloomy expression. Creak. The door was pushed open, and two graceful figures entered his sight. "So it's them. What a rare guest." Dustless's eyes sparkled as a faint smile appeared on his small face. "Tsang Na and Lady Shinra Chuanji, are you two here for me?" The people who interrupted Dustless's business were the president of the student council, Tsang Na, and her kin, Shinra Chuanji. "Looking for you. There's a limit to how thick-skinned you can be. If it wasn't for the situation, I would never want to see your annoying face. You better be killed by some god, hateful man." When she looked at Riaz, Tsang Na still had a faint smile on her face, but when she heard Dustless's harsh voice, her expression changed faster than flipping a book. Tisk, tsk. A woman's heart is the most vicious. Dustless looked at Tsang Na playfully, and then teased, "I thought your sister couldn't wait any longer and sent you to discuss our marriage." Pfft. The hot water that she had just drunk spat out. Riaz gaped at Dustless. This guy really did not care about other people's feelings. "You." Tsang Na's face was flush red, and she clenched her fists. A special magic array appeared in front of her, and she glared at the smiling Wu Qin. If it wasn't for the difference in strength, she would have pierced Wu Chen's heart with thousands of arrows. "By the way, no one seems to know about me and her sister." Seeing Tsang Na gnashing her teeth in anger, as if she wanted to swallow him alive, Dustless realized that no one knew when he forced himself on Seraphil. "Tsang Na, why are you here?" Riaz glared at Dustless and asked. It's not me who's looking for you, it's the two of them. Tsang Na shook her head. At the same time, two figures walked out from behind her and Shinra Chunji. Oh. Looks like we meet again. With a slight glance, two familiar figures came into view. Ladies, I forgot to introduce myself. My apologies. Dustless stood up, and his smile was like a spring breeze. My name is Dustless, nice to meet you. The sudden visitors were Genova and Wisteria Irina. You dare to appear in front of us. Rena jumped in front of Dustless like a chili pepper, with her hands on her hips. This sudden change stunned both Riaz and Tsang Na. They looked at each other and saw the strange look in each other's eyes. Obviously, they knew each other. You're making me feel disgusted. Glancing at Tsang Na, Riaz already knew the identity of the visitors. They were most likely from the church. Why wouldn't I dare to appear in front of you? You must understand that this is the supernatural research lab. Dustless did not answer, but asked back. He pointed at Riaz and said confidently, plus, I'm Riaz's fiancé. Hearing this, Genova and Rena were stunned. They were sure that Dustless was a human, and Riaz, the sister of the Demon King, would value a mere human. Minister Riaz, we're here to negotiate today. Genova did not want to argue with Dustless over trivial matters, and her cold gaze fell on Riaz's head. These two dare to ignore me. Dustless looked at the two girls with interest, and rubbed his nose helplessly. He did not expect to be ignored one day. He had always been the one ignoring others. The church's sacred sword seems to have been stolen. Their mission seems to be to find the lost sacred sword. Dustless guessed. Please speak your mind. Riaz said with a smile. I still have things to do. You can talk about the rest in detail. With that, Tsang Na turned and left. Obviously, he had no interest in this sudden incident. How boring. Looking at Tsang Na and Shinra Chunji's disappearing back, Dustless smiled. He did not have the time to listen to these boring things, especially boring things that he knew. Since I have nothing to do, I'll play with the two of you to kill time. Dustless followed Tsang Na and Shinra Chunji without hesitation. At the same time, in another direction, the situation was extremely serious. Chapter 1308. In this unfamiliar world, there were barely any signs of human habitation. There were only a few figures. It's really surprising. I'm getting more and more interested in that guy called Dustless. He must be a very suitable opponent to be able to beat you up like this, and it was a powerful move that killed you instantly. The world is really big. There's actually such a hidden character. I've never heard of a strong person called Dustless. White Dragon Emperor Wally stared at beautiful monkey who had just been bandaged. His eyes were burning with a burning battle intent. The boiling battle intent traveled through the restrictions of space, wanting to see Dustless's true appearance. Isn't this a good opportunity? The demons of the demon world, the fallen angels, and the angels of heaven are going to hold a three-party meeting soon. You're now the subordinate of the fallen angel Asafel. You can use this opportunity to understand him, but I can tell you that he's very strong. If he wanted to kill me back then, he would have ended up more miserable than beautiful monkey. Kitten's sister, Black Song of Taching, showed fear and yearning on her enchanting little face. Is he really that strong? At this moment, a slightly doubtful voice was heard. A girl in a gothic dress suddenly appeared, floating in the air like a hydrogen balloon. Her skin was white and beautiful, and her flawless face was clean and tidy. She did not need to dress up deliberately, and her small body revealed natural beauty. An enemy who can kill beautiful monkey instantly must be very strong. You think so too, right, Orpheus? Wally turned his head and glanced at the girl who appeared and disappeared mysteriously. He had to admit that he might be very strong now, but he was as weak as paper in front of Orpheus, who was at the top of the pyramid. He should be a god from some force. Orpheus' tone remained indifferent. His gaze swept across beautiful Monkey, who was covered in injuries, and the damaged Jingu Bang. Ripples appeared in Peaceful's eyes, and a rare emotional fluctuation appeared. He's called dustless. The infinite dragon god Orpheus confirmed. His tone was slightly fluctuating, and Wally and the others did not hear it. Of course, I'll never forget that guy for the rest of my life. Beautiful Monkey replied with a gloomy face with a hint of awe. If there's a chance, I'll go and meet him. His words immediately attracted the attention of Wally and the others. They did not expect that Orpheus, who was like a taboo in the legends, would personally take action. This was simply shameless. I feel that pulling him in to deal with the Great Red DXD is a good choice. Orpheus did not mince his words. His simple tone did not hide his intentions at all. In reality, she had the power to destroy the world, but inside, she was a pure little girl. She was not scheming at all. What if he wants to join? Taching Hegu frowned and asked. When he thought of Dustless's frivolous face, he felt that it was impossible. Dustless gave people the impression that he was not a tactful person who would give in. It's very simple. I will personally destroy him. Orpheus' adorable and delicate face did not change. She remained calm and peaceful. Perhaps this was a display of her confidence. The infinite dragon god, Orpheus, was an extreme existence that even the gods feared and trembled in fear. Its strength could be said to be invincible, and it indeed had the right to be arrogant. He will be my assistance in defeating the Great Red. Towards Dustless, Orpheus's tone was firm. If what the beautiful Monkey said was true, it meant that Dustless was comparable to Wally and even had the potential to surpass him. How could she let go of such a good trump card? Keek keek. Miss Tsang Na, why are you running so fast? I'm not a tiger. In the corridor, Dustless's teasing voice could be heard. Then, light flickered. He was like a wall in front of Shinra Chunji and Tsang Na, staring at them with a smile. Tiger. Don't insult such a cute creature like a tiger. You are much more ferocious than a tiger. The two of them were speechless. At least tigers only knew how to eat humans. Dustless, this weirdo, not only did he know how to eat humans, but he also knew that offending him would make them suffer a fate worse than death. What do you want? Tsang Na asked with her hands on her hips. Recalling Dustless's arrogant words, she questioned, please don't make up stories about my sister in the future, especially when it comes to something as important as marriage. Tsang Na originally wanted to use Seraphil's name to threaten Dustless. However, Seraphil was defeated in the previous battle. Even her chastity was taken away by Dustless. However, no one knew about the matter between Dustless and Seraphil, including Tsang Na. It all depends on my mood. Facing the serious Tsang Na, Dustless responded with a smile. His answer was frivolous and perfunctory. Before you question others, you have to talk about other issues first. Dustless's tone suddenly became gloomy. His eyes were filled with coldness. Miss Tsang Na, you purposely lured those two girls here to cause trouble for me, right? Panic flashed in Tsang Na's eyes. Her face was red as she argued, please don't talk nonsense. I didn't know you had a grudge. Besides, it was those two girls who asked to find Riaz. Dustless looked down at Tsang Na quietly. He did not believe her answer at all. This girl wanted to cause a conflict between him and the church. After all, Dustless was a human, and Riaz was a demon. Even if they were engaged, they could just break the contract if something unexpected happened. By then, the church would only have Dustless as their enemy. This girl is young, but she's quite good at scheming. What a pity, Dustless suddenly moved closer to Tsang Na's ear. The corner of his mouth lifted slightly, revealing a faint smile. He went straight to the point. Sang Na, there are some things that you don't need to quibble about. For your sister's sake, I can let bygones be bygones this time. In the future, you better stop before things like today. If something happens to me, your sister will be a widow. Chapter 1309. Sang Na stared at Dushless, who was right in front of her, dumbfounded. She couldn't help but sob. What did you do to my sister? Sang Na had a bad feeling. Thinking that her most respected sister might have been defiled, her tone and eyes were as cold as a knife. Didn't I say before that you can call me brother-in-law? Dustless maintained his gentle smile, his expression serious. You. Sang Na felt like she had eaten a fly, her stomach churning. She vaguely guessed what Dustless had done to Seraphil. It's all my fault. Sang Na closed her eyes in despair, her heart filled with regret and self-blame. Because of a trivial matter, her sister was defiled by this beast in human clothing. She regretted it deeply. Don't put on such a pained expression, Dustless advised. Sang Na's eyes were empty, as if she had been turned into a walking corpse by a soul. You still have the cheek to make sarcastic remarks. This is all your fault. A cold wind blew. Sang Na's kin, Jinluochuanji, glared at Dustless. Your sister is very happy to be with me. Dustless smiled at the look that wanted to kill him and said meaningfully. What do you mean? Do you think I'm a child? Sang Na's gaze was immediately drawn over. She looked at Dustless in confusion. Her sister was defiled by this beast. How could she be happy? Absolutely impossible. The reason is simple. You should know the demon world without me telling you. It's about the most basic law of the jungle. Survival of the fittest, the weak will be abandoned sooner or later. Although your sister has the strength of a demon king, there is still a gap between her and a surpasser like Sazax. I don't need to tell her this. How can she survive in a world where the strong are everywhere? Only by finding a towering tree can your seedy family live forever. Your sister can't even be happier. She's going to get married sooner or later anyway, and I'm the best candidate for her. Dustless raised his head, his tone arrogant and proud. It was not only the seedy family that was like this. In fact, it was the same for every family. Take Rias for example. Why did she marry Rias to the Phoenix family in the first place? It was because their family was powerful, and Rissel Phoenix was a superior demon, so they could be considered a match. But in the end, because of Dustless's sudden rise, the Gimli family saw a stronger potential, so they did not hesitate to destroy the marriage between Rias and Phoenix and betroth Rias to Dustless. The nature of the law of the jungle was fully revealed. Big sister, are you really happy? Sang Na looked at Dustless suspiciously, as if he was lying. You're mistaken about one thing. It's not a matter of whether she's happy or not. It doesn't matter. It was because she had no choice at all. Even if she was unhappy, she had to force a smile. There were too many unpleasant things in life to count. You want to create a perfect fairy tale according to your logical thinking. That was impossible. As a demon king, your sister understands this kind of shallow logic. That's why she accepted her fate and followed me. Finishing a long string of words, Dustless's lips were also somewhat cracked and dry. He moved close to Sang Na's ear and said with a smile, all in all, you just need to get it clear, I'm your brother-in-law now. I'm a little tired. Goodbye. If you have any trouble, you can find me at the Supernatural Research Lab. My cute student council. No, my cute sister. Inside the Supernatural Research Lab. The atmosphere was heavy, and the smell of gunpowder was thick. Both sides were arguing until their faces were red. If someone ignited a small flame, both sides would be set ablaze and fight. Creak. The tightly shut door was gently pushed open. A cool breeze blew in, and the hot atmosphere finally eased a little. But when they saw who it was, the smell of gunpowder in the air became even stronger. Yo, you two, why are you glaring at me so fiercely? Be careful, your eyeballs might fall out. Dustless was like a magnet, attracting the murderous gazes of Genova and Rena. You, a human, are mixing with demons. You're digging your own grave. Genova reprimanded loudly. At the same time, she looked at Riaz in confusion. She then circled Dustless and sized him up. Other than his good looks, there was nothing else special about him. This is my private life. You two are meddling too much. Dustless chuckled as he lazily walked to Riaz's side and sat down. Our purpose for coming here is to find the missing holy sword. This is a grudge between the church and the fallen angels. I hope the demons won't meddle in other people's business. Otherwise, as the Demon King's sister, we won't let you off. Genova said sternly as he gripped the bandaged sword. How rude of you to suspect others. Are all the people from the church so rude? You have no manners at all. You're no different from robbers. Riaz was not someone to be trifled with. While she retorted, she also mocked the church for being rude. The holy sword is not only the natural enemy of the fallen angels. It also plays an important role against demons. It's normal for demons to want it. Genova's expression was normal. Her unchanging expression showed that she was right. Oh. It's just a holy sword. To put it bluntly, it's just a high-density lightsaber. In reality, it's just a toy that uses the opposite attributes to suppress demons and imps. You guys are so proud of it. That kind of thing is just a simple, crude weapon. I wouldn't want it even if you gave it to me. Dustless said disdainfully, as if he was talking about a piece of scrap metal, which made Genova and Irina's mouth twitch violently. What do you think the divine weapon that we value so much is? The holy sword is not a tissue to wipe your ass. Chapter 13:10. Both Genova and Wisteria Irina's faces turned the color of pig liver. Anyone could tell from Dustless's mocking tone that he was treating the legendary holy sword as nothing more than a fire-burning stick. It was even worse than a fire-burning stick. At least a fire-burning stick could be used for cooking, but the holy sword was not only useless after being burned, it was also scalding. Dustless's contemptuous tone belittled the holy sword as if it was worthless. Bam! Genova slammed the table angrily and stood up angrily, pointing at Dustless. Kid, watch your tone. Don't think that I'll let you go just because you're a weak human. A weak human. Hearing that, Riaz was amused. If Dustless was considered weak, then the powerful beings that he had killed would have cried themselves to the toilet and washed their faces with tears all day long. You're just playing to the gallery. Irina immediately labeled Dustless as someone who liked to lie. Her round lips parted. If you can take out our divine weapon, is this the divine weapon you're talking about? Dustless's palm gathered a dazzling light, and then a golden greatsword was compressed according to his will. This is, Irina's thin lips formed an O shape. Because she was too close, the light from the lightsaber reflected on her face. The holy and warm light was so comfortable that she could not help but close her eyes and enjoy it. What kind of monster is this guy? Thank goodness I was slow to speak. Irina broke out in cold sweat. She was prepared to say that if Dustless could take out the divine weapon, she would be willing to be his slave or servant. Who knew that Dustless would cut her off first, or else she would really become Dustless' servant? This was indeed a holy sword. This sword's nature energy is close to that of a sacred sword, but there's also an essential difference. Riaz was also in disbelief. As the heir of the Gimli family, she naturally understood the nature of the holy sword. Dustless's lightsaber had the same nature as the holy sword. The scorching holy light was noble and inviolable, and the sharpness of the blade made one's soul tremble. It was even better than the holy sword of the church. The only difference was that it did not have the chilling feeling of encountering a natural enemy. "Who the hell are you?" Genova and Wisteria Rena asked at the same time. They looked at the light sword in Dustless's hand covetously, instinctively thinking that it was something from the church. "Didn't I tell you before? I'm just an ordinary human." Dustless repeated and then added, "Of course, if strength can ignore racial boundaries, you can also treat me as Archangel Michael." No, Dustless seemed to realize that he had said something wrong. He said calmly, "You should treat me as your Lord, God. This is blasphemy." Hearing this, Genova and Wisteria Irina flew into a rage, especially Genova. Her bandaged greatsword was completely torn apart, and the holy sword was already sweeping out with its sharpness. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Genova leaped up with the holy sword in hand and slashed at Dustless from a tricky angle. It was impossible to guard against. "You want to hurt me with a piece of junk? Naive." Dustless lifted his eyelids and glanced at the sword coming at him from the left. He then closed his eyes peacefully. How arrogant! Seeing that Dustless had closed his eyes to face her, Genova's strength increased, and the blade of her sword was covered in a layer of scorching light. If she had only wanted to hurt Dustless earlier, she would have cut him into pieces now. Sigh, there's going to be another soul under Genova's sword this time. Reno Wisteria closed her eyes, not wanting to see the cruel scene of Dustless being decapitated. Clang! Suddenly, a crisp sound was heard from the place where the holy sword of destruction slashed. Bright sparks flew as if the attack had hit a rock. Genova's arm was numb from the impact. Impossible, how can a human do this? Looking as far as he could, Genova roared loudly. Due to his excessive shock, his voice was piercing. Reno Wisteria also opened her eyes and looked at Dustless in confusion. The next second, she was stunned as well. She was shocked by the scene before her. He blocked the holy sword's attack with a single finger. Riaz, who was the first to react, exclaimed in shock. Her eyes were bulging, and her eyes were bloodshot. Her breathing had also become several times faster, and she was panting like a cow. Following her gaze, Dustless had one finger in front of the holy sword. No matter how hard Genova tried, he could not move the sword forward. Dustless's finger was made of flesh and blood, but it gave off the illusion that it was a heavenly pillar. Genova, could this guy be a spy? Are the two of you acting in a musical? But this is too fake. How can a finger be harder than a holy sword? You can't even fool a newbie like me. Bad review. Reno Wisteria, who had recovered from the shock, said proudly with a victorious smile. She was happy that she had exposed Dustless and Genova's clumsy acting. Then, she stared at Dustless's head with burning eyes. Wisteria Irina decisively released her holy sword. This time, I will chop off your head and expose your terrible acting skills. The holy sword was extremely sharp, and the cold light reflected on people's faces. Their expressions changed drastically, and they took a few steps back. They instantly felt the shadow of death and the pressure. Whoosh! Reno Wisteria leaped into the air above Dustless's head. She gathered all her strength on her right arm and slashed horizontally. Clang! 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 Reno Wisteria's hand was numb from the impact. She vaguely heard a cracking sound. She opened her eyes with hope. She thought that Dustless's head had been chopped off, but the sudden scene made her stop breathing. Dustless's head was not injured at all. Instead, there was a semicircular crack on her divine artifact. Chapter 13:11. Wisteria Rena looked at the damaged holy sword in a daze. The cracks on the beautiful blade were as dazzling as the sun. She, who had always been cheerful, lowered her head in silence, and the atmosphere fell into a strange silence. Other than Dustless himself, whether it was Riaz, Genova, or Irina, who was deeply affected, they were all immersed in shock and disbelief. What kind of monster was this guy? A prehistoric beast? Or a main god of some unknown mythological system? Or was it like Dustless's monologue, "I am your god"? The three of them looked at Dustless, or rather, at his head, trying to find a gap to prove that the holy sword was not a useless stick. But to their dismay, Dustless's eyes were smiling, and his face was as calm as a breeze. Even an idiot could not tell that he was fine. "What else do you two have to say?" Dustless still held on to Genova's holy sword as he asked with a calm expression. "Are you really God?" "Oh, no, you are really our Lord." Wisteria Irina asked excitedly after hesitating for a long time. Her eyes were filled with golden starlight. The golden luster that Dustless showed before was very warm and peaceful, and also had extremely terrifying destructive power. While giving the enemy lethal pressure, it could also give all things the light of hope, which was in line with the nature of the Lord's ability. The only thing missing was the angelic halo like Archangel Michael. Of course, Dustless could also use the nature of yin-yang escape to create a perfect one. Idiot, don't be fooled by him. This guy has admitted that he is not the Lord. Genova's mouth twitched as she looked at Rena, who was about to pounce on Dustless and cry. She almost fainted in frustration. "Tell her you are not the Lord." Genova glared at Dustless with fire in her eyes. The two of them were here for the Holy Sword mission. They were not here to find a random lord to jump ship. "Why not?" Dustless asked back nonchalantly. "Your god is dead anyway. Only by believing in a stronger main soul like me can you be forgiven. So, believe in me, Genova." At the same time, Dustless's back glowed with a bright holy light. He had decisively activated the glint fruit's ability to cleanse his body. After a few hundred years of familiarity, Dustless had developed the glint fruit to an unimaginably heaven-defying degree. Furthermore, he had awakened the glint fruit's ability early on and was able to pass off the fake as the real thing. This guy is a fraud. Riaz did not know whether to laugh or cry. She subconsciously looked at Genova and Wisteria Rena. The two of them had blank faces as they worshipped Dustless sincerely. Dustless's body glowed with a golden light. His expression was gentle, and his eyes were as calm as the autumn water. Genova and Rena, who were bathed in the golden light, were about to melt. Their hearts were cleansed like never before. They clasped their hands together and had a fanatical smile on their faces. They looked like devout believers from medieval Europe. It was not just Wisteria Rena and Genova. Even Riaz, who had nothing to do with this, was stunned. She could not help but want to worship Dustless. That unique temperament was filled with an indescribable magic. The creatures of this world are indeed weak. They have been bewitched by me. Even if the gods are everywhere, they are still far from being comparable to me. When they meet a super-dimensional character like me, they have probably lost themselves. Dustless looked gentle and compassionate on the surface, but in his heart, he was staring at Wisteria Rena and Genova. Due to his height, he could see their snowy peaks clearly. Dustless let out a wretched laugh in his heart. His eyes shone with a wolfish light. The method he used was very simple. He only used the glint fruit's ability and the Haoshiku Haki's special effect. Therefore, his temperament was very contradictory. While he healed the world, he also contained a domineering aura that could destroy all living things and a will that was above the 9 heavens. And he also shamelessly used a small illusion to confuse the two of them. Clang! An ear-piercing roar broke the silence, and everyone woke up from their dreamlike world. Genova and Wisteria Rena woke up from their dreams and opened their eyes to look at Dustless. They suddenly realized that they were half a body shorter. Let go if you're done hugging me. After all, Riaz is still here. I have to pay attention to my imagination. Dustless smiled gently. It sounded like a fantasy story. The two were stunned. They looked at each other in disbelief. They felt that their knees were cold and instinctively looked at the ground. Bastard, sorcery, it must be sorcery. You evil heretic. Genova was furious. Her face was flush red, and the sound of teeth clenching came from her mouth. She found herself and Rena kneeling on the ground. Both of their hands were hugging Dustless's thigh, afraid that this master would run away. I'll let you go this time. I'll deal with you evil heretic after I take back the holy sword. Those who dare to impersonate our master will be judged by justice. After glaring fiercely at Dustless, Genova hurriedly grabbed Wisteria Irena's arm and fled the scene. She looked extremely flustered and terrified, and her entire body felt uneasy. Genova's mind was filled with Dustless's back, and the illusion that she would rather die than leave him. She knew that this was an imposter savior, and yet she still had the thought of changing her mind. Is it really okay for you to trick other girls like this? It might affect the relationship between the demons and the church. Riaz smiled bitterly. In fact, it was not just Genova and Rena. Even she was affected by his unique temperament and had the absurd idea of turning back. You don't think it's appropriate? What's wrong with it? Dustless sat lazily on the sofa with his hands behind his head. He said seriously, believe it or not, their master has indeed stepped into the underworld and is dead. What's wrong with using me as a spiritual anchor? This is salvation. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.